Today we're talking about my desk setup for 2021. My name is Jackson Hayes. I'm a college student, filmmaker, freelancer, and as we were leaving 2020 and going into 2021, I wanted to have my desk setup feel a little bit more comfy, a little bit easier to work in. My desk setup that I posted a little while ago was fine and all, but there were some things I wanted to replace, and I mentioned that in the video. And so this is kind of a continuation of that desk setup, but with some very key upgrades that I'm really excited about and that make the whole experience a whole lot better. And so without further ado, let's jump into it. If you're interested in checking out anything I mentioned in this video, the links to everything will be in the description below. All right, so let's talk about the desk. The desk hasn't changed from last video. It is still the Autonomous Smart Desk 2, which is a fantastic desk, no real complaints. The one little thing that's a little annoying, I guess, is that the control panel sometimes won't register your button press. You have to kind of press it a little harder. It's just because it's like some contact thing inside that's not fully touching or whatever. Not that big of a deal. You just have to press it a little bit more carefully. It's not a major complaint, but overall the desk has been good. I did decide to buy Autonomous's special cable raceway tray thing that is designed to fit underneath so you can put all your cables and try to manage your cables a bit better. Do I manage my cables well? No, it's a rat's nest in there, but at least it makes it a little bit cleaner than it was, because it was bad. The two computers that I am kind of running off of here are the Apple M1 Mac Mini, as well as a custom PC tower that I built. So let's first talk about the Mac Mini, because that's my primary device. It's been a mostly fantastic experience. I mean, I do 90% of my work on it, 90% of my school or whatever. It's great. It's macOS. I love macOS. It's wonderful. Minus the Bluetooth issues. It's pretty infuriating. I don't know if it's necessarily a Bluetooth interference issue or if it's some weird software glitch, because it seems to happen particularly when there's some super intensive program opening or closing or doing some operation or whatever. So I wonder if it's software and not necessarily hardware like interference. I'm not returning the device because I need a Mac and I don't really want to buy an Intel Mac right now because the new computers are just over the horizon. So I'm just kind of holding out. It's not the greatest experience, but I mean, it's usable. And so that's what I'm doing for my main computer. All right, so now let's turn to the PC side of things, a secondary computer. I decided to build a PC because I wanted something that could handle the kind of the beefier tasks that I needed, like renders and Adobe After Effects, because that runs terribly on Mac Mini, as well as for gaming. And so I decided to build that, and that's pretty much all I have to say about the Windows computer, because it's Windows. And I don't like Windows. Okay, I lied, there is a third computer, and it's the iPad Pro, which I guess technically is not a computer, right? I mean, it only happens to have a display and keyboard and trackpad and folds like a laptop and does everything a laptop or a computer could do, but it's not a computer. Speaking of things that aren't computers, dbrand. You see, I totally could have left my iPad Pro alone and just plopped it here on my desk, but I didn't. I wanted to have some fun, and I wanted to spice up the whole aesthetic. And I think this MKBHD icon skin really does just that. It's delightful and helps the device stand out. Throwing on a new skin, at least for me, gives me that new device feeling, and that I feel more inclined to pick it up and use it. It's like changing your device's wallpaper, but like physically. Check out that first link in the description to snag some for yourself, and huge thanks to dbrand for sponsoring the video. Anyway, I use it as mainly a secondary monitor through Sidecar and macOS. It's fantastic for video editing, for watching a TV show when you're doing homework, to throw Zoom, the window of Zoom, onto just below your X-T3 that you're using as a webcam, which is really fun and just really spices up the school presence. But yeah, it's an iPad. It does what an iPad does, so yeah. Turning to the monitor, this is replacing the LG Ultrafine 4K that I had previously. This is another LG panel, but it is the Ultra Gear 27-inch 4K 144Hz gaming monitor. Now, it wasn't the gaming specs that really won me over to this monitor. I mean, it's nice to have G-Sync, it's nice to have 144Hz. I'm fine with 60, honestly, and I know that's sacrilegious to say, but it was actually the color specs that really won me over. Having 98% of DCI-P3, being a 10-bit panel, 600 nits of peak brightness, being hardware calibratable, all of that was very, very appealing, and so I picked it up. I've been pretty happy. I really enjoy being able to switch inputs very easily, because previously I'd have to swap Thunderbolt cables every single time I wanted to switch computers, because apparently for whatever reason the Ultrafine 4K wouldn't let me have both computers on and just like turn one computer off and switch over. I'd have to like manually unplug. It was really, really weird. So just being able to push a button and switch over is really nice. The downside, of course, to this monitor is that it doesn't have Thunderbolt, and so if I do decide to switch to a Mac that only has Thunderbolt out, I'll probably just use a Thunderbolt to like DisplayPort cable, and that should be just fine. And yes, I'll have to run another cable for power, but I'm not really worried about that because kind of the trade-off is having a panel that doesn't really support my Windows computer and having to put a Thunderbolt card in there, and that's just a headache. And so I'm just gonna stick with this for now. My Zoom setup is complicated, but I think it provides a really nice experience for whoever I'm video conferencing with. Starting with my X-T3 as the webcam or camera, I'm running an HDMI signal out to this $27 capture card. Audio comes from the Rode PodMic, which we'll get to in a second, and as far as lighting goes, most of the time I just light with my window here. However, when it gets dark or I need some additional light, the Aperture 120D with the lantern modifier provides a simply lovely look, in my opinion. Moving on to accessories, we've got the Logitech Craft with the MX Master 2S. The mouse, everyone knows it's a great mouse. I'm a little tired of the fact that it is not USB-C for charging, but that's kind of besides the point. It's great for editing, it's just a great mouse. The keyboard is terrible. I hate this keyboard. I've ordered a new one, but we'll get to that in a second. The Craft dies weekly, and the capacitive little dial, I never use it, and I bump it accidentally all the time, and it's super annoying because it'll kind of mess things up. Really tired of this keyboard. I ordered the Keychron K3, which looks fantastic. The Keychron K3 arrived during the production of this video, and I like it a lot. The tactile response is a lot of fun. I got the optical brown switches, and the size makes it fit so much better on this Grove-made wool felt mat. The mat itself really adds to the overall visual layout of the desk, and it provides a surface that feels quite lovely. Towards the back of the desk, I've got the Base Station Pro from Nomad, and in concept, it's basically air power, allowing you to put your device down kind of anywhere, and it will charge it. And while I think in concept it's really cool, for whatever reason it likes to randomly reinitiate power, making the device light up randomly for no reason. This mainly only happens when the device isn't perfectly straight, which slightly defeats the purpose of placing it anywhere in my opinion. But that said, I like it overall and it works, and it's a simple way to keep my phone and AirPods charged. Let's talk about the audio situation, because there's been a major upgrade here over my last setup regarding the microphone and mic arm. I've switched to the Rode PodMic, which is a fantastic microphone for voiceovers, for podcasting, for even Zoom calls. It's really good. I have the PodMic attached to the Blue Compass arm, which is a great arm. It is a bit expensive, but I went through quite a few cheaper ones trying to find one that would be decent, and this is honestly the best one I've tried. It is very well made. It moves very easily and it locks the mic in place when you let go, so you can just move it into place and it just stays there, which is kind of crazy. And it also keeps the whole place looking kind of nice, being that it has the XLR cable raceway thing that keeps it out of the way. Overall, I really like it, and if you're looking for a mic arm, this is honestly the best one that I've tried. And like the last setup, the mic is going into the Scarlett 2i2, which is fantastic. I kind of wish that the XLR port would be in the back, so it's not this kind of thing kind of going around, but it's fine. It works wonderfully, and I really like it. The Bose speakers are kind of getting a bit long in the tooth, as in if there's nothing playing and the volume's up at all, you can hear static, so I don't really like that, and I'm gonna probably be replacing these at some point, but for now they work just fine. And if I'm really gonna be doing some audio editing, I'll just use my AirPods Maxes, which I use most of the time when I'm listening to stuff. Anyway, well, that's my setup. There are some things I'd love to change eventually, maybe switch to a 2-monitor setup at some point. But overall, this is my setup. I really enjoy it. Hope you got something out of it, maybe some element that you'd like to add to your own desk setup. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you whenever I make another video, which I think it's gonna get more frequent. I don't really know. I guess we'll have to see.